5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening, this is Paul Cooney with a couple of football legends tonight, Craig Moore and Andy Walker. And we're just 3 days away from the first semi-final. Dunfermline against Falkirk, the Scottish Gas Scottish Cup. And then Sunday, Celtic against St Mirren. Guys, one of the teams not in the top flight are going to come right to the Scottish Cup final, Andy. It's going to be some day for Dunfermline and Falkirk, which of course, as we know, is a derby.
Yeah, Falkirk big favourites for that. I mean, we've seen how often they play really good football, but I certainly wouldn't rule out Dunfermline. Neil Lennon knows how to get the job done. You saw the way they played against Aberdeen in a earlier round, and what a chance to get to the cup final up against either Celtic or St Mirren, who play on the Sunday. But that one on Saturday will be a cracker.
Sure will. Dunfermline 2-2 last night. Good result just days before the game.
Yep.
Dunfermline, of course, a division below them, up against Falkirk. But they're not out-and-out favourites, Falkirk, though, are they, for this one, Craig?
No, and again, Andy touches on Dunfermline in terms of the performance they put in against Aberdeen, which was massive. So Dunfermline and Neil Lennon's done a fantastic job. He played about with his squad last night. A lot of younger players and that sort of stuff. So obviously focus for this particular match. So the respect is there for Falkirk as well. But they have been very good this season, Falkirk. So I would expect it to be a great game, but I think Falkirk will be good enough to get through. Yeah,
Dunfermline, third top of the table. It's been a remarkable comeback.
Yeah.
So they're right in the playoffs there after the 2-2 draw last night. And Queen's Park losing at home 2-0 to Wraith Rovers. Many of us were watching Champions League last night. I took in Liverpool, but it looked as though I had the wrong game on, Andy, because, we'll talk about where you were in a moment, but Barca fought back, but didn't quite make it against Atleti.
Yeah, I heard it was a wonderful 90 minutes. A bit of controversy, which is always good. But yeah, it's a strange one, Barca. I mean, they are such a good team, but they can't seem to get the job done at Champions League level. Obviously, they're favourites for winning La Liga, but surprised they went out over two legs.
Young Joe was watching it, said it's a brilliant game. Switch over. Craig, I don't know which one you took in. You maybe be globe-trotting
I was
last
jumping.
night.
I was jumping between as well. I mean, Liverpool, PSG. Liverpool started off extremely well in that particular match. Just couldn't really make it count though. And in the end, PSG sucker punched a couple of times late in the second half. Liverpool again pick up an unfortunate injury to Ekitike. I think it was his Achilles. So that's a bad one. And surprise or not really surprised with Atleti against in that game.
In Barca.
I just had a blank there against Barcelona. But I'm not really surprised. Simeone, a dogged manager, does cop an early goal. Lamine Yamal scores early doors, but they proved that they were too strong and progressed.
And tonight, your old teammate, Arsenal, exactly. Arteta against Sporting, they're 1-up. He says he's on fire. Did you see it? He kept going on about how he's energised, he's ready for it. How are you feeling? I'm on fire.
Well, he needs to be. And look, I mean, obviously, all the media stuff that's coming out, his players are watching, the supporters are watching that. So he needs to come out and be really upbeat and positive. It's a big test, but he's in a good position, like I says. I think they'll go through against Sporting. I think Arsenal will be too strong, and I hope they're able to win the Premier League. Although they've got a huge test coming up against Man City.
Is it going to be Arsenal and Hearts? Is it going to be a double? We always bring it back. This is about Scottish football mainly, but Mikel Arteta had a magical year up at Rangers when he was 17. Craig, you were there with him. It's going to be some game tonight. Bayern against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You can never rule out Madrid. Real.
Unbelievable that Bayern played so well in the Bernabeu and got that result. Big favourites tonight. But again, Real Madrid get it done so often. No one's won that Champions League more often than they have. But I do think Bayern will go through.
Scott McTominay in the news today. Napoli, we know how well he's done there in the last 2 years. They're going to give him a big pay increase. They're saying they want him to stay for another, 6 years?
Oh.
Craig, so 2.6 million a year salary, which actually is much less than it would have been when he was at Man United. But him staying at Napoli, people would still want to be 29. What a player.
Where do I sign? Where do I? I mean, look, again, you're right. I mean, he's gone over and done remarkably well. It looks as if he's really enjoying life as well, Paul, So again, sometimes in your career you find a place where, it can be a little bit different, but he's adapted ever so well. That would be great business for Napoli. There's no doubt about that, because McTominay, And Billy Gilmore to a certain
Sure.
degree,
Yep.
in terms of the Scottish lads have gone over there and had real success. So he's in a good position.
Wasn't it great to see Lewis Ferguson speak last week when they were playing against Aston Villa, and he's talking about his teammate at Scotland, John McGinn, but he's speaking in fluent Italian.
Parlare.
I mean, it was great to see, and he's another one who's made a big impact over there. So no wonder there's a bit of interest from AC Milan for Andy Robertson at Liverpool.
Indeed,
well.
He's only 32, just became 32. We saw him on the bench last night. You saw him sitting there with Mo Salah as the anthem was played, You'll Never Walk Alone. And I love the fact that people have been praising him so much, Andy Walker. Everyone's saying, so many Liverpool greats and others saying, what a player he's been. He has been underrated, 8-9 seasons there.
Yeah, it's been just an extraordinary career step that he's taken, from being released by Celtic, going to Queen's Park, going to Dundee United, going to Hull, and then no one really expected Liverpool to sign him from Hull. But once he was given that opportunity, no looking back, and it's a remarkable story. I think he'll go on probably and get more caps than the great Kenny Dalglish. He's, I think, about 10 short at the moment. But he's still got a lot to offer. I mean, 32, he can certainly play for a good few years yet.
Of course, the other game this weekend, Celtic, St Mirren, will be speaking about that. We want to hear from you, St Mirren fans. Can you do the double? You did it in the League Cup just a few months ago, the Premier Sports Cup. Will you do it in the Scottish Cup? 0808 17 17 700. And Dunfermline and Falkirk fans, give us a bell. A few Celtic fans on last night talking about, they are surprised by the team. They're deceptive. They're slower than they look these days. That's a bad joke, but do you know what I mean? What has happened to your old team, Andy? What's happened to the free scoring, we never stop Celtic?
It's extraordinary, and I think someone pointed out to me recently, when you add in the goals of Kyogo and Adamida, Nicholas Coon, Matt O'Reilly, players that have all left for big fees, but they haven't been replaced, and you're talking about around 40 goals less at this stage of the season than recent seasons.
40?
40, around 40. I think maybe give or take a couple.
Wow.
But I think it's reflected in the way that Celtic play, and it's astonishing to think they are still in this title race, because for weeks I've got friends and family that go to games every week, and every week is a bit of a struggle. And the truth is, 5 games left, they're still in it. They have the majority of home games. They've got a home game against Rangers, a home game against Hearts, but every week seems to be a bit of a struggle, and I'm sure it'll be the same this Sunday against St Mirren in the semi-final.
Craig, your old team, what a turnaround. 40 minutes in, it looked as though they weren't down and out, but 2-0. It shows you the resilience, and does it look to you as though they could well be champions?
Well, listen, I think that it was a massive result, considering the start that Rangers got off to, to go 2 behind. The importance of that goal before half-time was really, for me, really, really important, because then you've got that opportunity, I guess, going into to half-time. Manager does his bit. Do
you think he was listening to you last week? Because I have to tell you, dear listener,
he gave it right, didn't he?
He got so much right last week, because you said, Majowski said, I don't think he'll start with him, but I'd have Majowski up there, and he brought him on. What a difference.
Well, listen, I think, like I says, Tremiti is the one that is the first striker that goes onto the team sheet, and he gets a couple of goals at the weekend there, so you go fair play. But Majowski, for me, I feel is that real natural goal scorer. So he come on and certainly played his role again, getting a couple of goals. He's always between the sticks, Andy. Good striker between the sticks, gets the tap-ins. So it was a huge turnaround. There's no doubt about that. I thought Raskin, he was another player that we touched on last week in terms of who's going to be able to lead Rangers. And by performance, we're talking about. Yeah. That come in the second half in terms of that aggression, winning balls, driving forward, passing the ball forward. He also managed to get his goals, But the important message now for Rangers is, again, it's that game's done and dusted. But I think you go into the next game with that confidence of knowing that there's goals in this team and a bigger spread. And when you touch about Celtic, for example, but they've been wrestling for a long time with opponents, but they're still in the mix. So you cannot write Celtic off either. And
you also said Hearts look for Braga, look for Shankland, and they were the scorers along with Kabori. So it was the strikers. It's going to be fascinating, isn't it? We're going to talk about Hearts. In fact, Are Hearts going to do it, Andy? What's the
They're
latest?
favourites. Hearts are
Yeah, yeah.
favourites.
What do you think, though? What do you feel?
I still think Hearts will get it done. I mean, they've got a great record against Celtic and Rangers. So those big occasions, whether they're in Edinburgh or Glasgow, I think they've shown that they can handle it. The nervy occasions, I saw them a few weeks ago. It was only 1-0 against Dundee, and there was a great deal of evidence of, a bit of tension, a bit of anxiety. But they got over the line, and then going a goal down to Motherwell.
Yep.
You've got to say Motherwell should have scored. I think 2 or 3. They had big chances. But Hearts come back, and there's a never say die attitude about that team. So with 5 games to go, they've got to be strong favourites.
Craig?
Paul, I do believe that again, Hearts are the favourites. I think it's going to go to the last day of the season.
Still?
I still believe that. And Hearts, they were really, really tested to go a goal behind against Motherwell. Okay, the penalty that kind of changes it late on.
Yeah.
Some say yes, some say no, but they were still able to get over the line.
What do you say, yes or no?
I'd probably say no.
Okay.
I'd probably say no,
sure.
but it doesn't really matter what I say.
Penalty?
Yeah.
I just think any kick in the head, it's a penalty.
You go penalty.
I'm
Okay,
thinking earlier this
sure.
season of Trusty, a kick in the head, that should have been
in the Rangers game.
red
Sure.
card, but,
red card, yeah.
Anyway, I jumped in there. So who's going to win it? What do you feel?
I think Hearts can hang on. Well, obviously,
So
I'd
you
love
think
to
they
see.
will?
I'd love to see Rangers. Rangers have given themselves
Yeah.
a real chance. And like I said, the 3 teams, Rangers, Celtic, and Hearts, have all got great possibilities. But I think the Hearts are going to do just enough and get over the line.
We're talking Scotland as well. We mentioned Scott McTominay earlier on and a few others. Stevie's on the line, a big Celtic and a big Scotland fan. Hi, Stevie. Good evening.
Good evening, guys. How we doing?
Hi, Stevie.
Hi,
Yeah,
Stevie.
we're good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. And listen, Andy, that's never a penalty. Never a penalty. The Barcelona one last night, they were trying to get a penalty. As well. It's
Okay.
to me, obviously, the Hearts. I think Motherwell let Hearts off the hook, guys.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves. They had loads of chances to go ahead and step ahead, and they didn't take them. But I just thought, I agree with Craig, and you've heard me say before that it's going to get into the last day. The helicopter's going to sit at Hart Hill.
Yep.
And they look maroon, they look red, white and blue, and they look
Yep.
green, white and gold. In that helicopter. But you look at that game, guys, Fog, obviously I said to the boy there, Brody, about how well Falkirk are doing. They're in the cup final this weekend. They're going to
Semi-final.
help decide who wins the league.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Obviously, sorry, to get to the cup final.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Get a chance to do that. They've got, again, a chance to decide who does win the league. They'll be playing well. Hopefully the boy that plays up front for them might get a wee
Barney
run in the
Stewart.
squad.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Scotland.
So, Stevie, you've got big news, I hear, on your World Cup tickets. What's the latest?
I've got them booked yesterday, mate. So I've got the Morocco game and the Brazil game.
Wow.
A big thank you to my family. My big sister, my brother-in-law, my big brother there helped me.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
that's brilliant. So you're off to Boston, Massachusetts, and Miami, Florida. Wow.
I go to Boston, and then I leave Boston and fly to Tampa, and then I think
on your private jet, Stevie.
I look at Andy.
This will be amazing, though, isn't it?
I wouldn't have scared. I'd have cycled down. I'd have kept up with company that's walking.
That's right.
To Boston. Because I would have been there, but I'm 57 this year, and I'm going to a World Cup, man, and I just can't believe it. You know what I mean? And I just can't thank him enough. You know what I mean? No, and it's, again, I'm disappointed my boy can't make it. He's working. You know what I mean? No, but you just sitting. Even last night, I was just sitting and I was looking at my flight, Andy, and I'm going, wow. You know what I mean? Just wow.
Did you get a good deal for your tickets, Stevie?
I think so. Obviously, not me know it's. I didn't really ask Andy, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean?
What a present.
Very good.
Listen, are we going to continue?
Great experience.
Craig, you're also looking. Tell everyone what you told Andy and me just beforehand. You're going to get a new
I've seen a
Yeah.
combination jersey. Obviously, my two teams, Australia and the time that I've spent in Scotland, and I've seen a few kind of jerseys out there. The ones that are cut down the middle and all that sort of stuff with both national team colours and all that sort of stuff. So I'll actually try. I will try and get that, and before I turn up at the World Cup, Paul, I'll bring it into the show. Maybe wear it on the last show prior to going to the World Cup. But yeah, like I said, there'll be two teams I'll be following anyway.
Who's going to be our strikers for the World Cup then? Let's bring Stevie into that as well. George Hurst scoring down south in the Championship. Everyone going on about Barney Stewart. Is it maybe too late? Is it too big a leap for him? He was playing at Dunfermline just months ago. Shankland's back. He's a certainty. We know the manager will go back to Lyndon Dykes probably and Shea Adams. I wonder, could there be any surprises? Is there a way that someone else could?
It's going to take four strikers,
right?
I would imagine, out of the final squad of 23.
Yep.
Tommy Conway.
Yep. He's in the conversation.
He's in the mix.
Stevie,
sure.
who would you, if you were the manager, who would you take?
Ross Stewart.
Ross Stewart, that's right. They're talking about him. I thought you said Rod Stewart there, but that's the Highland. What do they call him? The Loch Ness, don't they? Down south, they call him something. Big Ross Stewart, but you're right. Yeah, he's scoring goals.
He's doing well, so he is, and he's the kind of striker that we do need. Obviously, we've got different kinds of permutations with Adams and Dykes and that. But you say to yourself, with the midfield that he's going to pick, because Merrill's picks himself all the time, boys. You know what I mean? The chances that we get, we've had this conversation before, we're going to have to take them. If we get 2 or 3 against Morocco, we're going to have to take at least one. Brazil, they're going to be very tight as well. So if we get any chances, we can't afford to miss too many, boys. But I'm just hoping, obviously, we have a go. You know what I mean? And again, a lot of people are making a lot of effort to get there, and I just hope that Steve, obviously, has got a couple of games lined up. We've got a plan A, a plan B, plan C, plan D, so. But to me, again, no matter who he picks, they're all going to know that they've been lucky to be picked.
Yeah.
Some of them deserve to be there, boys. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, I think somebody that would get you on the edge of your seat, Stevie, would be Ben Gannon-Doak. Hopefully he is fit in time. Obviously, a bit of doubt about that. If he's not, I wonder, would he take Finlay Curtis? I know he was in the squad recently, but
Calvin Miller.
Calvin Miller. We do need a bit of width.
Yeah.
More than a more. Sorry, Andy, to cut in there. Just when you threw Calvin Miller, he's probably more at an age, Paul, where
28,
that experience where he won't be too phased by the situation. Of course, like every player, it'd be a huge buzz to be there. Finlay Curtis has got time. Yeah. He's definitely got time. I don't believe that this is his time in terms of the national team and the World Cup, although he was in that last squad. Yeah. But Calvin Miller is a great shot. What more do you need to do apart from be consistent in a team that's punched above their weight all season?
Yep. Do you all think that because it's probably going to be Stevie Clarke's last tournament, he'll be a bit more adventurous, less risk averse? I think he will be.
I think he might have learned from the last big championship where we maybe lacked a bit of adventure, but I think the more often you go to these big tournaments and you see how normally you're up, it's not often you're up against a big side like Germany in your first game and you get absolutely spanked.
Yep.
We hope to actually have got our points before we play the big one, Brazil, the last game. I think if we can win our first game and almost not lose heavily in the other two, but we might actually go through. 3 points might take you through.
You have to win the first.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely have to win.
A Haiti game.
And by the way, and they'll be okay as well.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. You don't go to the World Cup and play against teams that, you're turning over 6-7 nils and all that sort of stuff. Be a tough match. Morocco, by the way, what a team they are.
Absolutely.
That's a semi-final
huge test. And that small team called Brazil, they go okay as well.
And Stevie remembers Costa Rica, going back to 1990, we thought we were going to be okay. And I'll never forget that. We were expecting a win and it certainly didn't happen. Oh, Stevie, it's absolutely brilliant you've got your tickets. What about your own team? Back to Celtic for a moment before you go. Cup semi-final weekend, St Mirren, prediction?
Again, what team's going to turn up? Andy said that. I mean, no, but we done all right in the league against them. I mean, but it wasn't convincing.
No.
I mean, it was, and I just think obviously with the games coming up, they mean a lot to teams. So it's who's got the character, who's got the get the sleeves rolled up and get out of the line, and David's got to be done. Again, you know my feelings on it, experience coming in, keeping calm, taking your chances at the vital times. Also, my brother-in-law's a St Mirren fan, so
right,
so you'll be supporting one team and we'll be supporting another. But it's again, I just think it's brilliant, guys. Obviously, I go down, obviously, my work takes me around the Liberty pub in Glasgow and surrounding areas, and everybody's talking about, obviously, know that it's no done and dusted, and they're going to do them, and they're going to do them.
Everybody's talking about it. You're right. And I've heard you on Talk Sport talking about it as well. Who's going to win Dunfermline against Falkirk?
Again, it would be interesting if Dunfermline went to say Lenny's up against Martin in the finals, they'll make it. But I just think John McGlynn just deserves, cup final day, manager of the year, and the guy's just done amazing. It's
some story.
You know, I'm a coach, and he's just done amazing. So he has. He's not got all these multi-million-pound strikers, but he's got a team of grafters.
Your team doesn't have them either. You've not got multi-million-pound strikers.
They'll be a bit bruised by losing 6 to Rangers. I mean, no disgrace to lose to Rangers even at home, but to lose 6 goals, I think that's a bit bruising. So they'll be a bit wary of what Dunfermline have to offer.
And also, they wouldn't be happy about the switch off. For that first goal.
Of course.
And they really did. Craig, as a defender, what did you make of it?
Yeah, as you say, like I said, I mean, it's switching off, and just the time of that goal to go in at 2-0 at half time, Paul, is I mean, it's a dangerous scoreline 2-0 because you score, but to concede just before half time would have been a huge disappointment to John.
Stevie, see you in Miami. Looking forward to it, and maybe Boston as well. Thanks so much, Stevie. 0808 17 700, the magic of the World Cup. And you can hear, and isn't it brilliant, his family helping him to go there?
I think the fact that he's got so long to look forward to it as well, it's part of the enjoyment.
Quick break and then we're back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, it's Wednesday, Whopper of a Wednesday. Paul Cooney here. Andy Walker and Craig Moore, both of them have won the title. They've both won cups with Celtic, with Rangers, and they've performed for Scotland and Australia. It's some year. This is a special year, Andy, isn't it, with the World Cup coming up?
Yeah,
just 60 days away.
Yeah, I've never known anything like it. Certainly in the Scottish Premiership, just with the 3 clubs involved. It takes you back to the real glory days when Celtic and Rangers were up against Aberdeen and Dundee United, when they were so good in Europe. And it's great, whatever happens, it's great to see Hearts being so consistent. Celtic and Rangers both chasing them. You
were at Motherwell because you hadn't gone to Celtic when Hearts almost did it back in, 86, that famous afternoon. I know
that was extraordinary. I think I've told the story before. I was playing at Ibrox that day for Motherwell. Big cheer went around the ground because I think the Rangers fans thought that Albert Kidd had scored, and that would have meant Hearts winning it rather than Rangers. Veteran. But of course it was Walter Kidd, and his name's now in folklore. But astonishing. I mean, and you've got to. I mean, I remember at that time Celtic really hunted down Hearts, but they had so many players that were capable of doing that. So many players you could rely on. I'm not sure when you look around this Celtic starting 11, you're hard pushed to name an outstanding player who's had such a good season. He's been so impressive. There's not many that spring to mind.
Albert Kidd, of course, got a Celtic supporters club named after him, Craig. Do you know that afterwards?
He lives in Australia, I think.
I could well do. You always get an Australian one. And Walter was the veteran, of course, at Hearts. It was remarkable. Helicopter Sunday, you'll remember that as well. I think by then, 2005.
I was gone.
You'd gone.
I was gone. Obviously,
you just missed it.
I had the title run in 2002, 2003, where it was a little bit like this, but it was Celtic and it was Rangers and Celtic and Rangers.
Right. Yep.
Went down to goal difference. Listen, I think it's brilliant to see that. I think it's going to go to the last day of the season. I think Hearts have been fantastic, and they're still favourites for me. I would love to see the likes of Motherwell, can they go again next season? Falkirk, can they go again? The more teams and the tighter, it just makes it a far better product. And it flows into a lot of different areas, Paul, because talk about even the national team, and the national team enjoyed some huge success. First time going to a World Cup in 23 years, I think it was, or major tournament or World Cup tournament. You need a competitive league to really drive those kind of standards, and it creates great interest in the game. We've got that this season. Can Hearts continue that next season with Tony Bloom? Can other teams find the ability to try and close the gap on Rangers and Celtic, or do they improve?
Billy's on. He's a Hearts fan, asking, Derek McInnes, you played alongside him. What's he like? You must have got to know him in the dressing room. I mean, I know he wasn't always, he didn't start all the time for Rangers because you had such a strong team, squad, midfield, but he has got a great battling character.
Absolutely. And Derek won't mind me saying this at all. We at times played together in the middle of the park for Rangers, and let me tell you, there was much better players than us in those positions. But for certain games, Walter Smith, he people that were going to be in there, that were going to compete, that were going to chase down every ball. So Dell has always had. He's a real competitor. Now, he's also got really good experience as a manager now, hasn't he? I mean, he's done a fantastic job for a long time. He's in probably a new position. He's never really been in this position before, but I think he's handled it well. But he's a fighter, Paul. He is a fighter. He always has been. And he or his team, if they were to miss out, it's going to be kicking and screaming.
I think he speaks sense. He certainly spoke a lot of sense after the post split fixtures came out. A lot of guff spoken about the fixtures, but I thought he handled it well. Just win your games, play them in a car park, play wherever you want. I mean, anyone that's got a problem with the split, I mean, it's a flawed system that everyone has bought into, and sometimes it doesn't work out for you. But I thought he handled that pretty well, and he speaks well about his team.
Yeah, I've just spoke to Graham Jones in my office there, and we were talking about that, just saying 5 games to go. We're all our wildest imagination at the start of the season when you're trying to put a squad together, and we've worked so hard to try and get a bit of momentum here. With 5 games to go, it shows you a lot of good work. The players have done magnificent in terms of they're the ones that have to go over the line, and all we do is try and support and enable that to be the best they can, and we're finding different ways to win. We're in decent form. Obviously our home form's been strong, but with 5 games to go, we know we're going to have to get another few big results, but today, and results like today in the manner what we did it, it doesn't do us any harm, because I don't think any of the games coming up will be straightforward for any of the teams up there. And we're playing Motherwell again, as other teams do. Motherwell are a top side. They put a lot of plaudits for so many reasons. So we've got it all to do again when we play these teams.
That was Derek McInnes on Saturday. Around about the same time, Martin O'Neill, they had a 1-goal win over St Mirren. Afterwards, he said, look, I think the team can improve.
I'm not concerned. We've got a bit of time now. We've got a week and a day now to prepare for the semi-final. Same opposition again. And I think we can rectify that. I think we can get it right. Famous last words, of course.
And he said he thinks they can improve and they will improve.
I think the most disconcerting thing was the energy levels, which I wasn't expecting. Of course, if you're hanging on in the game, the last 10 or 15 minutes can become pretty nervy. But I thought it started way too easily in the first half for our liking. But I think the players are saying exactly the same. So we'll get it. Maybe it was our training this particular week. It might have nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with it. But we'll look at all sorts of things anyway. But I think we can improve for next week.
Off the pitch in the last few minutes, I see on the Sun online, one of the Celtic directors has stood down. Tom Allison, he's been on the board for many, many years. He's 78 years old, so he's actually been on the board for quite some time and a big part of Celtic's success over the last couple of decades. But he stood down. They've told the Stock Exchange this afternoon. But at 78, and that's not a surprise, really. And he should enjoy his retirement at 78. It's a good innings.
Good luck to him in his retirement. You thank him for his service, and you wonder what, if any, new fresh blood will come in.
You wonder what's going to happen there behind the scenes. What about lack of energy? That's what Martin O'Neill was saying a few times. Craig, were you surprised watching the highlights of the Celtic game that he's been talking? This is what he said about that.
Sometimes it happens, believe it or not. You know, you're chasing the title. We're playing catch up all the time, so we've got no room to manoeuvre. And I just felt that when we got the first goal, it was like one of those, come on, try and cement it, try and get the second goal. A wee bit like Dundee last week at Dens Park. We didn't do that. And then you're inviting teams to come on to you. St Mirren, in the same manner as Dundee did, had the upper hand in the second half, and but we did well to keep the clean sheet.
Nervous energy for me, Paul, is something that can actually hinder you. You know, right. So in terms of even the players, you know, it's really important to try and get yourself out onto that field and be as fresh and as ready as possible. But nerves, they definitely play a role, Paul. I think I've spoken before about I felt as if I could physically be sick before I went out before every game and had to focus on breathing and all that. And honestly, it was incredible. So your nerves can give you a feeling of maybe not being energetic. And you look at the three teams at the weekend. Hearts suffered at the start of the game. Yeah. Right?
Sure.
Rangers definitely suffered at the start of the game.
Yeah.
And Celtic probably didn't start as well as what they would have liked to in their game. So it's energy, yes. Energy in terms of not wanting to run about is something completely different. But at this stage of the season, do not underestimate the players' nervous energy and what it can then obviously flow onto the football field.
I think Celtic had the best spell early on where we had some Celtic fans some last night saying, they thought this was going to be maybe two or three. But I take your point there for Hearts, for Rangers. What do you make of this lack of energy from Celtic?
Well, it's surprising to hear the manager talk about it. I think there's just a lack of creativity. There's a lack of ruthlessness. Think of the amount of games that Celtic have played this season where they've been so dominant. And they might get a goal in front, but they can't get two, they can't get three in front, they can't blow teams away. They've lost a lot of creativity, they've lost a lot of goals. Everyone is wondering why there was no investment in the January window when the team was crying out for it. But remarkably, they are still in it. They might just hobble over this line. They can't ask for, Rangers and Hearts are above them, and they can't ask for anything more to be given the opportunity to play both of them at home. And with the strong crowd behind them, they might be able to get something. Maybe unlikely, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out.
I think we've spoken about it for many a year now in terms of fear factor at Rangers. That fear factor has gone. Yeah. Has that fear factor gone now when teams are coming up against Celtic?
Good point.
You know, like because since January, I mean, we're not just saying a few weeks. Since January, Celtic have struggled, but as you say, Andy, and rightfully so, they've still found a way to be able to win football matches. But they have been real majority of the times arm wrestles. Are teams going in there now with a little bit more belief? Possibly.
I mean, they've lost to Hearts, they've lost to Rangers, lost to Motherwell, they lost to Dundee United a couple of times, lost to Dundee. So there's not a great deal to fear. But the only thing I would say is I'm astonished that Celtic are in it. They've actually won the same amount of games as Hearts. They don't have an out-and-out striker. They don't have wide players that are absolute stick-on to be part of a great winning team. And you can't rely on their defenders to come up with a big performance. I'm in the fear. I don't think Celtic have any fear. Celtic have got I think, a strong enough group that have been through experiences, obviously, of winning things. And that has kept them still with a chance this season, right? But I'm talking about opponents that they're coming up against now. You know what I mean? Like the other teams now are going, by the way, we have got a real chance here if we can get to halftime at 0-0. We've got a chance. It's kind of that thing where I'm saying the fear factor of teams coming up against Celtic now, I don't think is there as much. News
coming in on Rangers tickets for the game, the May Day. It's May the 4th, isn't it? 5:30 kickoff, Tynecastle, Hearts Rangers. How many tickets?
17,000. They're asking for.
They are asking for. I bet that was actually the actual number. I think was somebody was a bit of a wind up. 576 Rangers fans will be allowed into the game. That doesn't include the officials, the Rangers officials coming in.
But
576.
If you're selling every other seat to a Hearts fan,
sure.
and it's your ground,
Yeah.
I mean, how many Hearts fans will be at Celtic Park the last game of the season?
Yeah, probably 800 or something. Yeah, I know. No, I know. Sure.
As long as you can sell them to your own supporters, then if it's your home game.
That's not going to be in doubt, is it? Between now and the end of the season, there's not going to be a spare seat in any stadium.
The only thing I would say is as a player and even as a spectator, someone who follows Scottish football, I mean, I love to see a very healthy away support, and we've gone through certain clubs that don't even give any tickets to the away supporters. I'm still not sure what will happen at Celtic Park when Rangers come to town, given the trouble that was at Ibrox in the Scottish Cup quarter final.
There is going to be the allocation. Yeah.
Well, great. I mean, I hope we can get back to a really strong allocation for the away support.
Okay, we're going to go on the lines. Laurie's next.
Joe with Burger King.
Onto the lines, and Laurie is waiting. Laurie, sorry to keep you. Good to hear you. Good evening.
Yeah, it's quite all right, Paul. Good evening to you. Good evening, Craig, and good evening, Andy.
Hi, Laurie.
Laurie, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, guys. Paul, here's my point this evening.
Yeah.
Things are fast approaching fever pitch, of course, with only 5 games remaining. If you'll indulge me for a couple of minutes, I'd like to set out my points of view. People can extrapolate, they can hypothesize, they can postulate theories. Celtics have been dismissed by 2 legendary players, Chris Sutton and Frank McAvenny. However, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. I'll tell you what I do know, Paul.
Yeah.
What I do know is if you go into any betting shop at 10 to 5 on a Saturday afternoon, there'll be more crumpled papers on the floor than what there will be people cashing out. What I also know is that thus far, and I'm going to preface my comments by saying one has to admire what Danny Rowe has done for Rangers. It would be churlish and lacking in grace if I failed to acknowledge that. He's only lost 1 game domestically in 25 games. He's transformed Rangers' fortunes beyond all recognition. However, let me come to my point. And 3 head-to-heads between Danny Rowe and the Blessed Martin. The Blessed Martin in the League Cup and Scottish Cup thus far has jettisoned and ejected Rangers from 2 tournaments, the League Cup and the Scottish Cup. Rangers travel to Celtic Park on the 10th of May. I am convinced that Celtic will beat Rangers. The 3 games in question that Danny Rowe has failed to beat Celtic have all been on venues other than Celtic Park. Once at Hampden, twice at Ibrox, where Rangers got a draw and we beat them on penalty kicks. When Rangers come to Celtic Park, Danny Rowe faces the unenviable distinction of having his season ripped apart if we beat them. The Blessed Martin will be responsible for Danny Rowe's failure to win any of the 3 domestic trophies. The panel's thoughts.
Craig Moore, gauntlet thrown down there. As a Rangers legend, what would you say to the erudite Laurie?
Well, I mean, Laurie always brings up very valid points when he calls, and he calls in, obviously. But I think in terms of Rangers, the pressure for Danny Rowe is Laurie in terms of those games, those real meaningful games. Can you come ahead, or can you get that victory? Right now, obviously, the record you've just touched on there that hasn't been the case so far. Laurie, my question is, it may not even have to happen for Danny Rowe to get over the line in that particular match. You know what I mean? The Celtic Rangers match.
And yet most people are saying it'll go all the way.
I do believe that it'll go all the way. I don't see Rangers losing to Celtic in the split game. I don't. I don't have a. And the reason why I say that, I don't think Rangers are unbelievable, but I think there is a bit more of a spread of creation and goal activity at this moment in time. Now, Laurie, obviously we know that game is still a few weeks away or some distance away.
Yeah.
Celtic, for me at the moment, don't have enough weapons at this moment in time, and I just believe that there's only so many punches that you can throw, Laurie. And I kind of felt the game against Dundee United, I thought that was something that was coming for Celtic. I still believe that something like that will come also in this split, where it'll just be a game too much for them.
For Celtic?
For Celtic, yeah.
Andy, what would you say? So Chris Sutton, Frank McAvenny, they don't think it's going to happen for Celtic. What would you say?
I think for years I've always looked at a Celtic Rangers game and thought, Celtic have got so many potential match winners. And I just don't have the same belief in the players that I'm seeing now that are the part of the starting 11. I'm just wondering if the defence will be strong. I'm wondering if the fullbacks will do their job. And of course, the last time Rangers came to Parkhead, they won with an amazing performance. Admittedly, it was during that time where I don't think any Celtic fan could work out what the manager, Wilfred Nancy, was trying to do, and neither did the players. So I think Laurie makes a really good point about Martin O'Neill going up against this same group of players and getting different results. And I do think that Danny Rowe almost spoke out of turn when, criticising the Celtic team or the goalkeeper. And I think
100%.
That just plays into the hands, not just of the manager and his coaching staff, but players will be listening to that too. And I don't know why you would choose, and that's what he chose to do. I don't know why you would choose to fire up the opposition players.
But was he? But Andy, with that, and again, I understand. But was he disrespectful that he's kind of come out and said that he thinks that Schmeichel won't play?
I think he was. Yeah.
But how was that disrespectful?
Why are you talking about the opposition team?
Just because
you wouldn't find anyone who's got a history of winning big games in Glasgow. They don't talk about the opposition until after the game, and you've actually won. You can make a comment about someone who said something, and you just ram it back down their throat.
I don't think it was disrespectful. What I would probably agree with is a little bit, maybe that lack of experience, a little bit inexperienced. I don't think it was something that. Certainly, I don't believe it was disrespectful.
He'll be asked again in the build up to this game.
See if he's learned.
And I think, you wonder if he's learned his lesson.
I think the tone has changed a little bit. Yeah, somebody maybe told him it was a good thing to do, Craig. They were on a bit of a roll. And I think Danny Rowe would think afterwards, I made a mistake there. I took on Martin O'Neill, who's done it all. And this is Danny Rowe's chance, but he's done nothing yet. Yeah. You heard Laurie, Celtic fan long term, but paying tribute to Danny Rowe. Danny Rowe didn't have the respect, but he didn't have it. He made it was a misstep. I've noticed since then he mentioned Celtic, there's a change in the tone, and that's absolutely right. Say less, win the title, Danny. Yeah. And then say, well, actually, but once you've won it, if you do, then you'd be more magnanimous.
Yeah. And I think you concentrate on your own team. And when I look at Rangers, I'm looking at, wow, they've got really good firepower.
Yeah.
They've got the type of players that can score often, score heavily. Players that you would associate with Celtic had over the last number of years, but Rangers seem to have them just now. Yeah.
But again, Laurie, just on that, I believe, like I says, inexperience. I can go, what? I can see that. You know what I mean? It's a big club. He's still quite a young manager and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, sure. Because Laurie, I'm like you. Like for me, win or lose, right? It's for me, it's about respect as well. It's doing it in a way that has class. And I don't believe that, like I says, Danny Rule would have come out to be disrespectful. Inexperience, possibly.
Yep. Laurie, where's it going to come from, though? You've got such faith in Martin O'Neill. Is it blind faith in a way when you see the lack of firepower and the lack of creativity?
Not at all. Sorry, Paul, not at all blind faith. Can I just respond to what Craig said there?
Of course.
I will concede perhaps it might not have been disrespectful. However, what did happen there was he did try to play mind games with the Blessing Martin and come off second best.
Yes,
okay? Now, I'll tell you my analysis of the remaining 5 games, and here's the crux of the matter, Paul, if you will indulge me. Rangers have to travel to Tynecastle and Celtic Park. Celtic, both those games are played against Heart of Midlothian and Rangers at Celtic Park. Rangers admittedly did beat Celtic early in the season. However, that was under the situation where the Wilfred Nancy was in charge of Celtic Rangers will not emulate that result against Celtic. A lot of people dismissing Celtic, dismiss us at your peril. In a crunch situation, you've got three guys, and I have to go for it here. You have got the perennial runner-up and serial loser, other than one victory in the League Cup in 2014, 12 years ago with Aberdeen. You have Danny Roll, who is an unknown quantity, and you have a guy with a proven record in the Blessing Martin. My question to the two guys sitting there next to you is, under those circumstances, who are you going to call?
Who's the Ghostbuster?
Laurie, I would have you as part of the coaching staff for this game.
Get him on the board.
Your
Get him as a spokesman.
Your pre-match chat for the for the players and the coaching staff, and I would put you out to interview and hear what you have to say about the opposition.
Andy, exactly. Some of these highly paid players that have come in on loan, they'll be away. And do they realise what it means to people like Laurie?
Yeah.
And it's the same story at Rangers as well. But Craig, what would you say to that? You can hear it's not blind faith, but it's a faith that not many Celtic supporters can back up at the moment. I think most people think it's going to be either Hearts or Rangers.
Yeah, but again, sometimes it's also psychology.
You think so?
Cause you're talking about Laurie in terms of the ex-players. Was it Chris Sutton,
and Frank McAvenny?
Believe it or not, they're actually trying to do what is right for the club and all that sort of stuff. In terms of, I think, being a little bit cagey. I've been in the position before where, you may be saying, well, Rangers are, you're kind of a little bit more critical of your own.
Yeah. But Frank's saying it's boring today. See, in a way, is there nobody at Celtic saying, wait a minute here, defending champions, can we get a bit of a buzz going here and go out there and actually score some goals and entertain, as Bertie Auld used to say? I don't know that it is psychology. I think Celtic are boring.
Well, at the moment, Paul, because of the type of matches that Celtic have been having for a number of months, you're probably fair to say that.
Yeah.
You're probably fair to say that. Celtic supporters are probably fair to say that.
It's what every Celtic supporter I speak to, boring. But they always finish it with a bit like Laurie. I think Laurie's got a belief that Celtic are going to win this thing. But no one can quite believe Celtic are still in this with such a boring team.
And Rangers can't believe that they're in it, a team that was abject early in the season. The Russell Martin, but they moved decisively. Yeah. And look, if Rangers don't do it, Craig, there's never a better chance for Rangers than now.
For Rangers and Hearts, this is an unbelievable. For Hearts, a bigger opportunity because I think obviously Rangers and Celtic will improve next season. But Celtic have been nowhere near their best. They had the period of Nancy, which, to be fair, should have been enough to see Celtic off for the season. It hasn't. They're still in there. They're still in there with a great chance. Rangers and Hearts aren't going to get a better opportunity, Paul.
Laurie, thank you so much for your call. The news is next.
Team 700, talking Scottish football first.
Hour 2, I've got the dictionary here. I'm just checking a few of the words there, Laurie. I'll tell you what, the guys, you've had them busy during the news, just checking some of the words. Laurie, giving the Celtic view there. What's the Rangers news? Give us a call, 0808 17 17 700. And we had a couple of Hearts fans on the programme, Dale and Johnny, on Monday night, and they were putting the Hearts' point of view about the Hearts, the glorious Hearts. Yeah. And it is some story when you hear two people from Edinburgh and just how much they would love to taste the success of a title. Over 60 years since Hearts won it. And of course, the last time anyone apart from Celtic or Rangers won the title was during Alex Ferguson's reign at Aberdeen.
Yeah,
of course. Well, he went to Man United, Sir Alex, in 1986, as I recall. I remember getting the call. Jimmy Sanderson saying, see, I've got rid of him at last, because the two of them didn't really get on. And then years later, Sir Alec mentioned it, and I said, well, do you know what?
But when you think those teams, Aberdeen, Dundee United, that we're talking about, who were challenging Celtic and Rangers at the time, every single one of them was a Scot.
That's right.
Maybe bar one or two, but predominantly Scots in their team. Renowned for their youth policy.
Yeah, don't get us started, Andy. That's another conversation now, isn't it? About the development,
all change now.
Scottish players, the development of Scottish players. I mean, again, they had the 3 foreigner rule when I first come over to the country.
Yeah,
that was for the European competitions.
Okay,
and all that sort of
that's
stuff.
right. Yeah,
but again, you've got to find a way. Actually, there is a way. foreigners don't come in and get in the team unless they're better than what you got. But otherwise you go with your own. It's just that opportunity for.
Not sure about that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It sounds good in theory, but in practice is a different thing for many clubs.
In the first hour, we were talking about Nico Raskin. Andy's been on, a big Rangers fan, saying, Raskin should be further forward. I know he wants to play this number 6 for Belgium because he's not going to get his position in the team playing further forward in the midfield. But he said, look at the weekend and look at the influence he had. And the manager, Danny Rule, spoke about him after the win.
Yeah, I think general, there's a reason why since I'm here, Nico is nearly every minute on the pitch. I support him from the first day. We trust each other. He is my guy on the pitch when I have a tactical part to bring him out and tell him something. I like to be, and I like to see the sixes also to have box to box. But on our side, we need also a good balance. From the sixes to control our rest defense and be not too open, and I think this is always the crucial moment. I think it was then also at the end to bring a third six in, to have more structure, and finally was not just about 11 players today. I think it was also good to see some other players again on the pitch, and they helped.
Craig, Nico Raskin at the moment, the way he's playing.
Well, I also seen some comments about his conversations with Russell Martin. Rangers are very lucky to have him still at the club because he was definitely wanted out and decided that he was going to turn up 2 days before the window. That no, I'll be in at training. Incredible story that's come out in recent days.
Tell us more.
Well, it's all out on the social media. Basically, there was a conversation with Russell Martin, and that he was not part of the plans. And he was feeling as if that he's being pushed out the door. But he said no, that he wanted to trap. And train and all that sort of stuff, which meant that he stayed at the football club. Raskin's a player that, again, we've now had Barry Ferguson, who we know really, really well and got to know him well. He's a strong mentality, strong mind, hasn't he, in terms of what he wants to do on the football field. As a six, he's not going to dominate games of football. That's clear. It's not to say that he can't do it, that he's not a good player. He's just a better player when he's able to go and break things down, get the ball, pass forward, run forward. For example, what you've seen in the second half at the weekend against Falkirk. Again, real confidence booster for the lad that you got your manager coming out saying he's my guy. Yeah. He's my go-to man. So again, there's a lot of respect there, and obviously, Danny Rule feels that Raskin has a huge part to play in terms of the success that they're all trying to achieve.
Andy, what do you make of him? 25-year-old Belgian midfielder. They're saying there's more interest in him this summer, but the word out of the training camp, or Ibrox before they went over to Spain, was that he'd be here for at least another year.
Well, I think one of the areas in which Rangers can improve off the field is being a better business club. Buying for relatively low fee, selling for big bucks, the way that Celtic have done it for so long. And there's definitely something to be said about that, something to be admired about that. And of course, the big challenge, the trick is to replace someone with equal ability, if not better, and still be able to fatten them up and sell them on. If Raskin attracts a big fee from richer clubs, I think Rangers should take it. And they should be investing in a model where it would see them get the next Nicholas Raskin.
Hard thing is as well, there needs to be a plan behind it. But we've seen a lot of stuff even down south now, with Robertson, with Mo Salah and all that sort of stuff, in terms of these announcements before the end of the season and what's deemed to be a good time, a right time. It can be very difficult to get that really spot on. But I mean, listen, Raskin eventually, like majority of the players that are doing extremely well at Rangers, will eventually kick on and go to other clubs. And Rangers, as a football club, have got to make sure that they maximise those opportunities. But there needs to be a plan.
Sure, because Andy's spot on. Look at Morelos. 5 years ago, they could have got big money for him.
Kent as well.
Was in?
Morelos and Kent were a disaster at the same period of time.
Yeah. And what did they get for them? Well, nothing for Morelos, wasn't it? And it was a tiny amount for Kent. And down south, Liverpool have ended up that way. Salah, he's going. Andy Robertson.
I think it's a mistake with Salah and
Oxlade.
I think there's always a time to sell and realise that you've had some of the best years, or you're never going to get a better offer. It's absolutely outstanding. Take it and go again.
But when do you release that though, Andy? As a football club,
not just now when you're going for the title, three of you.
Yeah, it's obviously.
You know what I mean.
I mean, there's 2 transfer windows, but if Rangers were to get an offer that surely they wouldn't turn down, then take it. Don't force the player to be unhappy. I'm sure he'll want to move as well.
Darren's on, a Celtic fan, saying, "Can you pay a bit of what do you think, Andy, of Oxlade-Chamberlain getting another goal? Could be a really important one for Celtic at the weekend. You can see his class. Is he going to have that energy and stamina to see out the season and really contribute?"
I just think he's got a part to play, and the part is, he comes on against Livingston when he's just up, he scores a goal. You see the quality of the touch and the finish. He's been in and out of the team since then, but he gets a goal at the weekend. And I think just talking to friends and family that were at the game, I think they all thought, maybe goal difference is going to be a factor this season. 5 games to go, and both Hearts and Rangers are ahead of Celtic in that regard, which I think is unusual, especially over the last number of years. And I think they all thought Celtic might win this game 2-3 or 4, make some sort of dent into the goal difference, but it wasn't to be. They were hanging on again, and I think he still has a part to play, Oxlade-Chamberlain. I don't think he's the outstanding go-to midfield player, but he's got something
massive.
to offer.
He's got a massive, in my opinion, he's got a massive role to play for Celtic.
Yeah.
That quality that he has is better than majority of what's there. Can it be produced for 90 minutes per match? No, it can't. But you touched on Livingston, winner, 3 points.
Yep.
St Mirren, winner, 3 points. So without the Ox, there's 6 points not there.
It would be a 2-horse race.
But his quality hasn't gone. Even his finish against St Mirren, you know what I mean? He shifts his feet, boom, boom, bottom corner.
And he
you would have been proud of that.
Yeah. And he had a goal he was just offside, but there was good movement.
He was cheating a little bit. He was in that position
was he?
where he was cheating like good players can tend to do in an attacking
That's a good Rangers defender
situation.
Can't be about cheating.
Here's the manager speaking about Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Of course, he's a really good footballer. You can see that there. You can see the way he deals with the ball. Really good players, trying to get up to speed with the games here at this minute. Been out for a long time. And I think I mentioned in a previous interview, it doesn't really matter if you've not had football for 6 odd months, regardless of whether you're training with a team as good as Arsenal are. This is the match fitness that's helping. But it seems as a game by game, when he starts, he seems to be lasting a little bit longer. But most importantly, he got us the winning goal.
So Rangers out in the sunshine, so too are Hearts. Celtic at home, getting ready for a cup semi-final. Andy, would you rather be Peter Grant, your old teammate last night, said, hey, he just threw it in as he does, saying, I'd rather be getting ready for a Scottish Cup semi-final, which of course you would be.
And so I think Rangers and Hearts would rather be in the Scottish Cup semi-final as well. You just want the chance to win a trophy. I won the Scottish Cup my first season at Celtic. Scored in a semi-final. Semi-final's a great occasion. You're just one step away from Hearts. We beat them 2-1. We were 1 down with just a few minutes to go. Mark McGee got us into it and got the winner, and it's just a great occasion to get to a final knowing that you're just that step away from getting a winner's medal. So I'm sure Hearts and Rangers would want to be in the semi-final, but as long as you win it, it would be a huge blow because St Mirren have already been to Hampden this season and have taken care of Celtic, so they want. There's no fear there.
Remember that season well? Obviously, it was the double. Rangers had, the soonest years had started. The money was in it. Rangers, you were the underdogs going into it, weren't you? That season,
very much so.
But you had late goals, I remember.
Yeah, and Big Billy had just
Celtic
returned to the club.
late goals.
Billy had just returned to the club and signed a few players, including myself, Chris Morris, Mick McCarthy. Great to get Frank McAvenny and Joe Miller. I think when we got those two, there was just, I felt it. There was a big change in our threat, and it was great. Joe was great for me. Frank was even better for me, and great to work in a partnership. Which I know that you like the partnership at Rangers at the moment, whether it's Chermiti and Miovski or Nadiri. But partnerships I think have still got a part to play.
I think Davey had a hand in you coming to Celtic as
did.
well. He did, because he was obviously the
Davey
manager.
done the
then there was a
homework
change in the summer.
of me at Motherwell.
He did.
And, I think I always thank, or rather I always did thank Billy for taking on the scouting reports that were available at that time. And he went through with that signing, and just great to play in a winning Celtic team. I had a good number of years where I didn't play in a winning Celtic team, and but it was always a pleasure just to get the hoops on.
Frank's on from Hamilton saying, guys, momentum is the thing. So they all had wins at the weekend, only the second time in the season.
Yeah.
So momentum, is it a habit forming? Is it a belief? Is it a blind? Okay, Laurie, I'm not saying blind faith, but you had Laurie. I mean, it was quite a rallying cry for Celtic. What about for Rangers then? 5 games to go, momentum's there?
Momentum is always very important for me, right? But this running is, like I said, it's more about who can keep calm heads, because there's going to be moments in games like we've seen at the weekend. Are you in a position, good mentality, good headspace to still be able to come out and get the right result, Paul? Now, that was shown at the weekend. It was shown by a lot of the players that we spoke about last week, that we felt players that were going to be influential in the title run-in. Shanklin, Braga, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Raskin, Miovski, Chamiti. These are the type of players that will need to continue to be able to do that to get the trophy or to get that reward at the end of the season, which they're all looking for.
The other thing you're guaranteed is controversy. We saw it last weekend with some of the VAR decisions, some of the refereeing decisions. I thought the worst one was at Rugby Park, the penalty that
the length
I didn't think was a penalty, but absolutely, Craig, the length of time that it took just to get things decided. It's painful, not just for the players and the managers and the coaching staff, but for the fans inside the ground. Just far too long.
Yeah, that is. And to be fair, actually, the player, my player I represent, Charlie Riley, put the cross in for the penalty. And then again,
never a penalty,
I spoke to, no, I don't think it was, but it was given. But then I was speaking to him today, and he was saying about the length of time. And it's like, again, it's like, nobody really knows like what's happening. Why is it taking? So there's a lot of distraction within that moment for a player to go up and then take the penalty.
Far from ideal.
9 minutes. It should never take 9 minutes.
It was only 8.
8. Yeah. Well, you know what I mean?
I'm joking. I'm being pedantic.
Even 2 minutes is too long.
It's ridiculous.
You know
But that's 8. Unacceptable. But I think football will throw up controversy. They will throw up decisions that you can understand. You don't agree with it. You don't think it's a foul or a penalty, a red card, whatever it is. But you can almost understand the other view. I'm certainly not going down any road where any referees are, favouring one side over the other deliberately. It's just a great pity we've got a World Cup coming up and none of our referees are going to be represented there. And I think that tells you that it's been a poor season. There's been far too many decisions that are not just we think that's wrong. Too many decisions that you only use the word baffling when you're looking at it.
We've got sorry, Paul. Is it a VAR show that they do up here?
Yes,
as well?
they do. Yeah.
That tells you that there's enough going on every single weekend in terms of those kind of decisions.
They do it once a month, don't they?
I think sometimes they can be good for explaining maybe a new bit of guidance or a new law. And we're looking at the World Cup, and you're going to have VAR looking at corners. They're going to be looking at second yellow cards.
It'll be brilliant at the World Cup, though. Honestly, you watch how you're shaking your head there, Andy, as if you don't believe so.
Do you mean it'll be seamless?
Absolutely.
They won't use it as much?
Nah, you watch how sharp it will be. There will not be big delays. I would say they'll get majority of the big calls absolutely spot on. I've seen it so many times. You see the domestic stuff being nowhere near at a level. You go into an international tournament, and especially a World Cup, it will be bang on, trust me.
Is that the technology, or is it just better judgment, better standard, and is that why we don't have a referee
we
at
should
all?
Have,
all of the
I think we should have far better judgment, especially in the VAR booth. I think what we have seen is a decline in the standards of refereeing on the pitch, and I think that's really the crux of the matter. You want strong, firm referees that get it right more often than not on the pitch, and you only need VAR for me to say, oh, Paul, you've made an absolute ricket. You need to come over and change it.
Yeah.
And you see it immediately.
Sure.
You know what I think. You know what I think would be one of the best tools for improvement for referees in terms of how they're able to manage a game, is to be able to connect with the players a lot better than what they do. So in terms of just your management,
I think it's so difficult, Craig, because you see that they are mic'd up.
Yep,
with
sure.
the other officials and with the VAR, and they're actually encouraged to almost commentate, almost describe, okay, if I'm giving a foul or I'm not giving a foul, I didn't see anything there. They're actually speaking while you're running. I don't think they've got time to
that's a good
establish
point.
a relationship with anyone.
Such a shame, though. We have no officials at the World Cup 2026. 0808 17 17 700. But we'll be there, and we're looking forward to it. Scotland are going to be there for the first time since, well, you know the story, 1998. Stevie was on in the first part, and the family have helped to get him tickets. It's brilliant. He coaches young players as well.
Looking forward to it every day. Fantastic.
It's exciting, isn't it? Just about 60 days to go. Haven't checked exactly today. And we're looking at who are the strikers that are going to win the title. Hearts, we spoke about them. You hear the manager speaking about Braga. What a player he is as well. What a find. Lauren Shankland, who may well lead the line for Scotland this summer. Kabori as well. Scored. He's been injured, I know, but scored.
You should be asking the lads now who their player of the season is. I think the manager of the season will probably come down to whoever wins the title.
Kind of has to.
And I know that Askew at Motherwell and John McGlynn at Falkirk.
Close, but
absolutely. But this is exceptional. If Martin O'Neill was to win that title, wow. And he's only been there a short time. If Danny Rowe was to win it, wow. The turnaround since he came in. And of course, the story at Hearts with Derek McInnes since the start of the season. They've never been away from top spot. That in itself.
When does that decision get made? You took that's for Coach of the Year. When does that decision be made?
Already
be made?
Yeah, different ones. The football writers. There's also the players.
PFA awards, which are on the 3rd of May. So you're still a few weeks left of the season, but that's primarily for the players of the season. Obviously, the lower leagues have all finished, and you've got your player of the year in each division. I think the women's game is coming to an end soon. They've also brought that into play. I think a contender for the player of the year will be Maswanisi at Motherwell. I think Braga might get a shout.
Braga, I would definitely was going to say Braga. Andy, I think an absolute certainty to be in the.
Who's your top Rangers
mix.
Man?
The problem is it doesn't jump out to me. That's the problem. And that, again,
it's the same with Celtic, I think.
And again, like I says, Rangers have most certainly. To be fair, Mikey Moore, for me, I think is a shoe-in for the young player.
Right. Yeah.
Young player of the year.
I think so.
Does he qualify?
Yeah.
He's 18. Yeah. When is it? The young player? He would definitely qualify.
Barney Stewart just turned.
Fernandez for Rangers, I think would probably be in the mix now on the basis of what he's done throughout the season. But Maswanisi, I definitely agree with you. But there's not been loads that's really jumped out.
No.
Calvin Miller's had a great season.
He has.
Yeah, sure.
He might get a mention, I think. Nygren at Celtic just because of his goals.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I see there's interest in him. Apparently, he said, the natural move eventually, I don't know if he said eventually, would be going to the Premier League in England, but maybe talk about him later. But Andy, he's been for Celtic, and yet there's people saying, look, he doesn't do that much in midfield. He drifts in, he gets the goals, but
gets your goals, and he gets the biggest prize ever, the end product, the goal. And without his goal, Celtic would be nowhere.
0808 17 17 700s.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Rory's working with us tonight. You can hear him on Sunday afternoon. It's a great show, Andy. He also mixes some football along with great music and great chat. So young Rory, we haven't seen him. He hasn't come in and said hello yet, but he's through next door because we're in this new super duper studio. We're on YouTube and on Facebook as well on Go Radio. Thank you for making the switch. So many people who are making the switch. A Rangers fan was on from Doncaster last night, Craig, and he said, made the switch.
Yeah.
And then he linked it into how Rangers have switched it up and getting goals. And he reckons, I think he was quite buoyant about Rangers, 5 games, 5 wins, and a title win.
I don't think it'll take 5 wins, but that would be nice.
Okay. Hearts fans as well, we had them during the week. And Celtic fans still saying, hey, with Martin O'Neill there, you never know what's going to happen. I see Johnny Kenny scored last night for Bolton.
The mighty Bolton, yeah, they'll be in the
Your old
playoffs. They've drawn a hell of a lot of games. So, great to see him scoring goals. And I think he might have had a part to play at Celtic. I mean, he's not your recognised out-and-out striker that you want, but at the time he left, I think he still had something to offer because no one better was in the place.
Yeah. And some Celtic fans saying, Callum Osman will be back. I think they're trying to have a bounce game. Maybe it's on just now ahead of the Cup game at the weekend. But they're trying to get players back. They've had horrendous injuries. Alistair Johnson, would he maybe play in a bounce game? But
I mean, one thing every manager loves and needs, and I'm sure Martin O'Neill's no different, just players with experience. And if you've got a bit of experience, the likes of Kieran Tierney, Callum McGregor, and they might not have had their most outstanding Celtic season, but you need them to play in these last big games, the 5 league games, and hopefully 2 cup games.
Cara's on, a Motherwell fan. Sorry, Craig.
I was just going to say the hard thing is with any of the teams, especially if we're talking about the top 3 at this moment in time, to maybe get minutes into players to be ready. So those bounce matches and all that sort of, they can be really dangerous at this time of year also. Probably my experience as well, you get to this stage of the season, I've been in the situation, there's certain players, Andy, you were just going on about, the experience that potentially has got to call upon there. Players that don't need that bounce game because they are experienced players, and you need to make sure that they're available and can contribute to this title running, which is going to go to the wire.
Sure is. The game's coming up fantastic now, aren't they? We talked about it for ages, right? We now know the split. We've got there. There's a weekend off because for the Cup semi-finals. More about that, Andy. I'm interested to know what your Celtic lineup would be for the game with St Mirren. And Craig's going to give us his Dunfermline and Falkirk lineup.
Well, I think
I tried that one last night.
I obviously think Sinisalo will be in goal, and I think that back 4 maybe picks itself. Ralston coming into the team alongside Trusty and Scales, and I would go with Kieran Tierney at left back just because of experience. I think the fact that he's actually contributed to a number of goals with his crossing, his final, his end product. I think that's been good. Experience in the middle of the park with Oxlade-Chamberlain, who got the goal last week. Persevere, see if he can keep that up. What a habit to have that is. Callum McGregor maybe alongside him. And someone who's been really good in the last number of weeks. I mean, I haven't seen Celtic live, but Yang has impressed a lot of my friends, family with his play in recent weeks. Obviously, Nygren he's the one with the goal-scoring touch. And while Tunetke has gone off it a bit, Maeda on one side, Yang on the other, they seem to be the favoured 2 wide players at the moment. And I know that Shvanchara certainly divides opinion among Celtic support. He's got a heavy touch. Yeah. He misses a couple of good chances, big chances. But in his defence, I would say I think he is a team player. I don't think he's looking for glory himself. I think he is trying to be part of a team, and you might want to persevere with him, and maybe the goals will come.
I'm just looking at St Mirren, obviously, because of the recent game, and I'm kind of was looking through there, Paul, to see whether there would be many changes, if any, for St Mirren, because I think St Mirren can be quite predictable in terms of what they started with is probably going to be what Celtic are going to be up against as well.
In the second half, Celtic they had so much of the play. Celtic didn't have a shot on goal after they had to change the keeper when St Mirren did, and that'd be a worry for Celtic. But for St Mirren, they'll be going in, they give it everything, because obviously they still got a league campaign though to see out their bottom 6. We know that they're in the relegation zone.
I'm sure they'll go over the League Cup final success and see how they played and see what it means to your teammates, see what it means to the supporters. They've got Ayunga and Mandron up front. I like Devani in the middle of the pitch. Gogic is always one who gives you everything. I like Campbell. Declan John down the left-hand side gets a good delivery into the box. And that's what those 2 are all about, Ayunga and Mandron, getting service in and around the box. And, Celtic have been, I think, vulnerable with balls into the box. There's been 1 or 2 teams that have bullied them this season. So... St Mirren will know they've got a good chance at the weekend.
2 up top, too up top, and I've seen it, recently with Rangers, and I think it's something that works. I think that football cycle's starting to change. Yeah. But you're right. Those two individuals that you mentioned with St Mirren, they will keep central defenders occupied, and again, central defenders will know that they've got a game come the weekend. When you're up against two strikers like that.
Martin O'Neill's got a decision to make, you'd imagine, though. But Ian Acho, does he start him or does he bring him off the bench?
Yeah, I think you should start him. See how can he give you 45? Can he give you an hour? And then you change it from there. But you want to establish yourself in the game immediately, and maybe he is the one to start Tunetke if Shvanchara's not been doing it from the word go recently. I know Hatate and Engels have been involved. Luke McCown's always in and around for some sort of game time. But Ian Acho's the one. I mean, the goal at Dens Park, absolutely priceless. Yeah. And just the way he scored it, just the really sharp finish. And I know he's been screaming out for some game time. He might be the one to start in the semi-final, see how it goes.
He missed a good chance at the weekend, which he was really...
He was mad at himself,
because he was by the near post. If he opens his foot, he scores quite comfortably, because I think goalkeeper's already committed. He definitely starts for me, Andy. You know what I mean? For me, he definitely starts.
I understand that, but
you want.
You never know what the medical staff are telling you about what danger zone they're in and what he can give you and all the rest of it.
Cara was on, a Motherwell fan. She dialed 0808 17 17 700, left a message saying, guys, what about Elijah Just, 25-year-old New Zealander? What's a player? He was outstanding again at the weekend against Hearts. And you both mentioned it earlier. Motherwell came so close to...
Yeah, another potential for a nomination for Player of the Year. He's been so consistent, so impressive. And Motherwell as a team, they might have even more players than Maswanisi and Just in it.
Yeah, and it pains me to say how well he's done this season, because he's a Kiwi. He's
exactly. That's you've got. Glasgow and Edinburgh.
But he's been excellent. And to be fair, apologise because he was somebody that we have spoken about throughout the season, and I don't think Motherwell are going to be able to keep him. I think his season has been that good that there will be opportunities for the club and the player to maybe move on.
And the manager position as well, because he must be desperate to get another couple of wins, because they've got a number of games now without.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up at Celtic. I think he's made his mark in Scottish football. He's made a big mark. No one expected this Motherwell team to be so easy on the eye, to scoring a lot of goals, conceding very few. I mean, that was unusual for them to concede 3 at Tynecastle. The last number of weeks they've been really good. So a lot going for him, and I'm sure he'll get a move somewhere, as will one or two of the players. It's the price you pay for a Motherwell side who've got very modest resources. And if your manager is outstanding, if you've got a few outstanding players, you might want to cash in on them and see if you can do it again.
Sure. If the manager were to go to Celtic, Andy, in your opinion, would that sit well with the Celtic supporters?
I think so. Certainly, friends, family I speak to, they really like the way the team plays. They like, he's got a bit of an edge to him as well. He's not happy with some of the decisions that haven't gone their way, and I think fans like that.
He's got a voice, hasn't he?
He's got a voice that's strong.
He speaks out. Yeah.
And I've spoken to him after 1 or 2 games, and
doesn't look for excuses.
I like the humility he's got as well.
What about somebody though that you played against? I think, Craig. He's 45 years old. Robert David Keane, Robbie Keane. Apparently, he's the favourite, and he is favoured by the biggest shareholder, Dermot Desmond. No, we haven't heard that officially, but that is the word that he is the number 1 contender, if it's not Martin O'Neill.
But listen, in terms of a player, he was a fantastic player, but obviously not talking about his playing career now.
He's retired now. He's not as you know.
No, but he's done a great job. He's gone to probably less traditional leagues and countries, but had success.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a link to the football club, Paul, as you mentioned. Plus, he played at the club. Big name. That for me is somebody that I think Celtic supporters would definitely be able to get behind. So he definitely an interesting one.
Damien Duff's name's come up as well. Andy, you've heard all the different names, but we haven't heard anything. Well, you wouldn't hear anything official. And of course, Martin O'Neill is still there. And when you heard Laurie earlier on, if Celtic win a double, if they win the league, then wow, what would they do? Surely there'd have to be a place for Martin O'Neill next season somehow in the structure.
Well, only if he wants it.
I think he would.
Well, exactly. I think he would too. But I think when you look at the bigger picture of the massive rebuild with the amount of players that will be leaving, either returning to their parent club, or players that are coming to the end of their contracts, players that are going to move on. It's a bigger, much bigger turnaround than usual.
Maybe Martin O'Neill. You mentioned that he was potentially at a game watching players, or
yeah,
something
Preston
like that as well.
North End at the weekend.
Maybe he could be a director of football or something like that at the football club. Is that missing? Is that does Celtic have that anymore?
Oh yeah, no, I think that I don't think there is anyone at the moment. Nobody knows for sure. There's been a kind of silence since Dermot Desmond's statement on the night that Brendan Rodgers, seems ages ago, doesn't it? What was that, October, when he said, look, I'm off, or they said, right, okay, we accept it. And then 20 minutes later,
I'm not sure that's the best use of Martin O'Neill's skill set. I mean, he's a manager, he gets results. But he definitely is someone who unites the supporters, and my goodness, if Celtic need anything just now off the pitch, it's someone who's able to bring the support together and try and give the players a bit of energy, a bit of a skip in their step to try and win these prizes. They're within touch and distance.
An advisory kind of role, a bit like what Graham Souness was. A lot of the time he was mentioned to Rangers, and I thought, maybe why did that? I know what you're saying about the director of football gig, but certainly as an advisor, advisory kind of role, because the next manager that comes in will be able to draw upon that experience. That's good value.
But he would end up with more air miles than even you, Craig, if he was director of football. I'm not sure. I agree with Andy. I'm not sure that would be the position. But his knowledge and his charisma that he's got. I mean, he's a young 74-year-old with all that energy. Because Rangers have changed so many things. Andrew Kavanagh, apparently the training is just over near La Manga, isn't it? It's near his house in the south of Spain. And you know what I mean? Rangers are getting involved. They're in sharing pints with some of the Rangers fans in some of the lounges going round. They're wining, dining. The PR's really good internally just now and externally. And if they can win a title and put more money in, the 49ers money is there.
Well, the pressure's going to, listen, 5 games to go.
Yep.
The pressure every week is gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, especially because there's going to be the results that are coming in on a week to week basis. And then it's going to get to boiling point, not boiling point in a bad way, we hope, in terms of emotion and all that sort of stuff. And we hope the supporters get out and just support their team and have a great day. And hopefully you can get your team over the line. But I'm so excited for the run-in. I really am. The last day I think it's going to come down to, we touched on it in terms of Hearts and Rangers being away at this moment in time. Of course, they would love to be in a semi-final. They're not, so they're preparing as best as they can for that run-in.
Last day of the season, Rangers at Falkirk, Hearts at Celtic. What if Celtic were out of it, Andy? This is just a few people have been on saying, what do you think would happen Hearts Celtic if Hearts can win it, and if Celtic are out of it?
Players want to win games.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think
you're not having it.
I don't think the game's corrupt. I don't think anyone lies down
sure.
to anyone else. I don't think referees are corrupt. They want to do their best. But no, I think my experience of players, you want to win. You want to win every game, and if you're making a couple of changes, you're doing it, for the benefit of your club. And
they're playing for position as well. Could be depending which tournament in Europe that they're playing for. And of course, if they win the title, the way things are elsewhere, Rangers could be going straight into the Champions League. And I know it's a big if. But this could be massive for Rangers, 30 million. Look, we need to take a break and then we're back. 0808 17 17 7. This time tomorrow night, Charlie Mulgrew will be here, ex-Celtic and Scotland star, and Greg Stewart. He was at Cove Rangers, he was at Rangers, he was at Aberdeen, Kilmarnock as well, so he'll be making his debut.
Good player.
In the studio tomorrow night. Good player, wasn't he? You saw him a fair bit, Andy.
Saw him a fair bit in his Kilmarnock Rangers days. I think he was down south. Was it Birmingham?
That's right.
Maybe a club like that. But good player, and I don't know what his plans are coming to the end of his career, 35, 36 now.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what his debut's like on on the show.
I know, yeah.
I'm sure he'll be absolutely fine. Another player that's had a very good career. And I'm sure we'll have some great stories as well, Paul.
Yeah, looking forward to that tomorrow night on the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Well done, Scotland's women last night against Belgium at Easter Road. We were a goal down, and then right at the end, we got the equaliser. So 1-1. We would love. I see the manager said, Andy, she said, we're 500%, she is certain we're going to make it to the World Cup, which is in Brazil.
Well, we're talking about a World Cup, in 60 days, did you say?
Something
I mean,
like
the
that,
idea of all I'm thinking especially of the young girls, young women who would, be so excited to see their team take part in a big tournament. That's got to be the aim.
Nothing like it. And Belgium, that was tough because they're unbeaten. So for us to get that draw last night, Craig, that could be a vital point.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I said, tough match with the aim to get into the World Cup, and a coach that's extremely confident to be able to do that.
Raith Rovers winning 2-0 at Queen's Park. And as we mentioned earlier, it was 2-2 for Dunfermline at Airdrie, and the second goal came late. So the table looks like this. St Johnstone top after 33 games on 68 points. Then Partick Thistle on 63. Dunfermline on 47 along with Arbroath. Then there's a 5-point gap to Raith Rovers and Ayr United. See, Jamie Murphy scored for Ayr United again at the weekend. Yeah. He's on football duty tomorrow night. It looks as though St Johnstone will come up, but you never know, Andy. Your old team, Partick Thistle's still in there.
They're still in there, but I do fancy St Johnstone. I think they'll get the job done.
Think so, Craig?
Agreed.
What about in the playoff position? What do you reckon then? So Killie, a draw at the weekend, wasn't it? St Mirren losing to Celtic, albeit by just one goal. And Aberdeen, who were in free fall, finally getting a 2 goals. Kevin Nisbet, a 2-0 win.
Yeah, Nisbet, the former Hibs player, getting 2 for Aberdeen. And you're right, it's so vital that Aberdeen get themselves away from the bottom of the table. I think they might just have maybe another win or two would do it for them, but
Kilmarnock. They've got Killie a week on Saturday.
Yeah, well, that's a big one. But Killie are the ones that are still in a bit of trouble. That draw at the weekend didn't help them. A home game, they were obviously looking for 3 points, but I don't think you can rule out St Mirren being in trouble or Dundee. Maybe even Aberdeen as well. So so much to play for down there.
Livy all but down. It's almost official on 16. Yeah. Kilmarnock on 28. St Mirren 2 better on 30. Dundee on 33, along with Aberdeen. Craig, what do you think? Neil McCann so well and Billy Dodds as well. What do you think? Are they going to take them away from the second bottom?
There is still a big chance, they've shown that they're capable. They just, unfortunately, when you're down there, you need that run of results to really sort of like get you in or beyond to get into the real safe area. But what I do know is that if Kilmarnock do end up in the playoff position, I'm extremely confident they'll stay up through that.
St Mirren play Livy the week after the Cup semi-final. So no matter what happens, Craig, they've got to concentrate, because remember, after they won the League Cup, they didn't win a game then for a couple of months.
Yeah, well, in a game, but you see that a lot in terms of, I think Falkirk as well experienced that. But St Mirren can't really afford to do that with the position that they're in.
No,
they're only a couple of points ahead of Kilmarnock. It's going to be interesting back end of the season for them. Have they got a squad that's deep enough as well to cope?
At the other end of the table, Hibs against Hearts. Andy, your old team, Hibs up against the Hearts. How much would they love to do it? And
I played in one of these games, and the intensity, the just ferocious bit of hatred as well. I don't think you would find many, if any, Hibs fans who would want Hearts to win this title, such as the great rivalry in Edinburgh. So Hibs will be going all out to try and put a dent in Hearts' ambitions. That will be an outstanding game, that one.
It's too early to start to go through all the games, but that is a huge one. Rangers play Motherwell on the Sunday at 3 o'clock at Ibrox. Dundee United playing Dundee. Celtic will have played the evening before. 5:30 kick-off against Falkirk, so they could narrow the gap. Then they've got, obviously, the Cup this weekend. St Mirren play Livy, as we mentioned, and Aberdeen against Kilmarnock. Let's hear a bit more from Danny Rule about the comeback, because it could have been curtains for Rangers' title challenge if they had lost at Falkirk, but they won 6-3.
Yeah, I must say I'm at first proud of the group, of the players. I think we bring ourselves a little bit in trouble in the first couple of minutes. You felt we need a little bit time to adjust to the pitch, how the ball bounces, and then you are 2-0 down, and then it's tough against the opponent. They have quality, they have attacking stuff, they know what they have to do. But then I think the 2-1 was very helpful before the half-time, and we were honest to each other in the half-time, and especially I like the players were honest to each other, and it helps. For me it was more about to give them some instruction and solutions. And second half then I think we played in one direction. General in 3 games now, 14 goals. Nine different goal scorer. I think this is also a statement, it's also part. Of course, we have to speak about the conceded goals. Was especially beginning too easy. All in all, great to see the group in this way.
Greg?
Seems happy, doesn't he? No, I think again, like I said, the mention of the spread of goals really important. I think the Falkirk game, although they go 2 down, the goal before half-time, I touched on how important that was. It was handy that we were playing against Falkirk, Paul, because Falkirk are open and quite an expressive team in terms of the way they want to play. They're not sitting in and looking to defend. So Rangers were able to, in the second half, when they broke things down in the middle of the park, they were able to go and hurt Falkirk because they were still looking to try and play an expansive brand of football. That suited Rangers. But to be fair, to go and score 6 goals to get, the type of goals that they scored from different people, it's a huge confidence booster. And there's no doubt about that.
That's interesting, the different style. Because remember Livy about, 5 weeks ago, Rangers were 2 down and it was late when they got the 2-2. Yeah. But of course, Livy they just sit in and make it hard to play against. It's going to be fascinating, isn't it, Andy? Rangers, what are you thinking then? They're, Hearts, I heard you saying earlier on.
I just think we'll learn a lot from the first 2 post-split games, just with regard to Hearts. They're at the top of the table. They're there on merit. And of course, every game is difficult. And when you start with an Edinburgh derby away to Hibs and the intensity that game will provide, and then the next week you're at home to Rangers, I think that'll tell you a lot about Hearts. I think if they win those 2 games, they'll see it out and they'll be champions. But huge test, the first 2 games for the Hearts.
This was Derek McInnes after, they were behind, but they won 3-1.
Yeah, very dramatic. Had a bit of everything. I thought it was a really good game. I thought we probably shaded the first half, although Motherwell still had a couple of moments, couple of shots for distance that keeps us honest and keeps us on our toes, and it shows you exactly when that space develops in front of the centre halves. Motherwell normally do a lot of good work in that space. Obviously they get the goal. Disappointed with that, and Motherwell can counter like that. I mean, I think Saheed turns out of trouble in the middle of the pitch, and from there on in, as soon as he faces our goal, we look as if we were a wee bit of bother. And I thought it was a good goal from their point of view. And 1-0 down at home, it's not something we've had too often, but one of the teams we have been 1-0 down to has been Motherwell, and we resorted to going back to 4-4-2 because that's what's been good for us. But it was the biggest mistake of my life, to be honest. I thought at that time, although we looked as if we could maybe cause them a bit of problems when we settled on the ball and landed on the ball, they started to run in the middle of the park. They had a couple of chances to get the second goal,
but they didn't get them. It's refreshing that he's so honest about he got it wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, coaches, managers, players, they all make mistakes. It's being able to learn.
He's got a hell of a lot right.
Of
His
course.
team have been top of the table for 33 games. So,
and listen, if they win the title, you realise and go ready, he'll be West of Scotland's own Derek McInnes, son of the West, and the captain. Who is he? Lawrence Shanklin, of course, from Glasgow.
Yeah.
Martin O'Neill, he was asked afterwards, after the 1-0 win, were your team nervy?
You know what? I think it's almost natural, but it's something that, the football club hasn't found itself in this position for quite some considerable time. You're trying to win, you're trying to play well. I thought the crowd were great for us. It kept us going because some of our football wasn't up to the standard that we were hoping to have. But we've won, and they dug in, and I think sometimes that's forgotten. We've actually dug in. You've got Maeda coming back, making challenges on the edge of our particular penalty box, stopping the cross from coming in. He's our wide man as well too. Yang on the other side. You could go through it, but overall, delighted to have won, and I think we can improve greatly.
The run-in continues. Craig, before we go, the last 30 seconds, who's going to be in the cup final? So, Dunfermline, Falkirk, what do you reckon, Saturday?
Falkirk will come out on top for me in that.
Andy, what do you think?
Celtic Falkirk.
Well, Celtic Falkirk, right? You're going for both. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And
Craig,
again, I do think that Celtic are going to be the team that get through in the semi-final against St Mirren, yeah.
Thanks so much for tonight, guys.
Always a pleasure,
Cheers,
Paul.
Thank you. Hopefully you'll both be back next week here on the programme. And thank you for making the switch. It's really important. Thanks for all your calls and messages tonight. Tomorrow night, Greg Stewart will be here making his debut in the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King alongside, well, he's now a veteran, isn't he? Charlie Mulgrew. That's tomorrow night, live at 5.